Apple just completely rewrote the rules of desktop computing, and the new Mac Mini M5 is the direct result. If you have been waiting for the ultimate compact powerhouse that punches way above its weight, everything you thought you knew about small form factor PCs is about to change. Look, for years, the desktop market has faced a fundamental compromise. You either bought a massive, loud tower that took up half your desk space, or you settled for a mini PC that thermal throttled the second you asked it to do anything remotely demanding. Apple challenged that status quo a while ago, but what they have done with the M5 architecture inside this tiny aluminum enclosure is nothing short of engineering sorcery. We are talking about desktop performance that routinely embarrasses traditional workstations that cost 3 times as much, all while consuming a fraction of the power. If you are a video editor working with heavy 8K timelines, a software developer compiling massive codebases, a music producer running hundreds of tracks with resource-heavy plugins, or just someone who wants a completely silent, lightning-fast setup that looks incredible on your desk, this video is for you. We are going to break down every single aspect of the new Mac Mini M5, look at the benchmark data, explore the real-world performance gains, and help you decide whether this machine deserves a spot in your setup. So, grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let us dive straight into what makes this machine an absolute game-changer. To truly understand why the Mac Mini M5 is causing such a massive shockwave across the tech industry, we have to look at the silicon ticking inside it. Apple's M-series chips have always been impressive, but the generational leap we are seeing with the M5 is different. This is not just a standard bump in clock speed or a minor architectural tweak. Apple has completely re-engineered the silicon manufacturing process, pushing the boundaries of transistor density and energy efficiency to a level that competitors are simply struggling to comprehend. When you first unbox the Mac Mini M5, the physical footprint hits you immediately. It retains that iconic, sleek, minimalist square aluminum chassis that fits easily in the palm of your hand. It weighs next to nothing, and on your desk, it occupies virtually zero footprint. But do not let the tiny size fool you. Inside that compact shell lies a thermal architecture that defies physics. Apple has redesigned the internal airflow channels and vapor chamber cooling to ensure that even during sustained, heavy multi-core workloads, the M5 chip maintains peak performance without dropping speeds. And the best part? It remains whisper quiet. Even when you are rendering a complex video project or compiling massive software packages, you will barely hear a whisper from the fans. In fact, under normal daily use, the fans do not even need to turn on. Let us talk about raw performance because this is where the M5 truly separates itself from its predecessors and the broader PC market. The CPU performance on the M5 brings a noticeable leap in single-core responsiveness and multi-core muscle. Applications launch instantly, we are talking zero bounce on the dock. Web browsing with dozens of tabs open, heavy multitasking, and switching between demanding creative suites happen with absolute fluidity. There is zero stutter, zero lag, and zero hesitation. Graphics performance is where things get genuinely exciting. The integrated GPU on the M5 features advanced architectural enhancements, including hardware-accelerated ray tracing that brings console-quality lighting and reflections to desktop applications in gaming. If you are into creative work, the media engines built directly into the silicon handle ProRes, H.264, and HEVC codecs with unbelievable hardware acceleration. You can scrub through multiple streams of high-resolution video effortlessly, apply complex color grading nodes, and render out final exports in record time. Creators who previously relied on bulky, power-hungry desktop setups are finding that the Mac Mini M5 not only matches their current workflows but often completes rendering tasks significantly faster. Unified memory architecture is another area where Apple continues to dominate. Traditional PCs rely on separate CPU and GPU memory, which creates data bottlenecks as information travels back and forth across the motherboard. Apple's unified memory sits directly on the package, alongside the processor, allowing both the CPU and GPU to access the same data pool instantly. This drastically reduces latency and maximizes bandwidth. When you are configuring your Mac Mini M5, choosing the right amount of unified memory is crucial since it cannot be upgraded after purchase, but even the base configurations handle high-pressure multitasking with remarkable grace. Let us dive deeper into real-world workflows because benchmarks on a screen only tell half the story. How does the Mac Mini M5 actually perform when you put it through the ringer in a daily professional environment? Imagine opening a video editing timeline packed with raw 4K and 8K footage, applying heavy noise reduction, layering multiple graphics plugins, and dropping in custom audio mastering effects. On a traditional machine, your fans would be roaring, your timeline would stutter, and you would likely experience frustrating crashes. On the Mac Mini M5, the timeline plays back smoothly at full resolution. You can drop in transitions, adjust color profiles, and preview complex effects in real time without needing to render proxy files. This kind of seamless workflow completely changes how creators work, eliminating the friction and waiting periods that usually slow down the creative process. For developers, compilation times are everything. Whether you are building massive iOS applications in Xcode, running complex Docker containers, managing large databases, or training machine learning models locally, time is money. The M5 processor slices through compilation tasks with ruthless efficiency. Codebases that used to take 10 or 15 minutes to build on older hardware now compile in a fraction of that time. This keeps developers in the zone, maintaining their creative flow without constantly waiting on hardware bottlenecks. Audio producers and musicians will find an equally compelling reason to upgrade. Modern digital audio workstations loaded with heavy virtual instruments, high-latency convolution reverbs, and dozens of active plugins can quickly bring lesser computers to their knees. The Mac Mini M5 handles massive multi-track sessions with absolute stability. You can stack tracks, run demanding amp simulators, and apply master bus processing without a single audio glitch or buffer underrun warning. The combination of sustained multi-core performance and low-latency audio architecture makes this tiny machine a powerhouse for professional recording studios and bedroom producers alike. Beyond raw power, connectivity and I/O are critical for any desktop machine, and Apple has equipped the Mac Mini M5 with a robust port selection designed for modern workflows. You get multiple high-speed Thunderbolt ports capable of driving multiple external displays at breathtaking resolutions, including support for ultra-wide monitors and high refresh rate setups. Alongside Thunderbolt, you have high-speed USB-A ports, an HDMI port for seamless connection to TVs and monitors, a headphone jack, and a high-speed Ethernet port for reliable, low-latency wired networking. Wireless connectivity is equally cutting-edge, featuring the latest standards for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to ensure rock-solid peripheral connections and blazing-fast local network transfers. One of the most underrated aspects of the Mac Mini M5 is its incredible energy efficiency. Traditional high-performance desktops can pull hundreds of watts from the wall under load, driving up your electricity bill and generating massive amounts of ambient heat in your room. The Mac Mini M5 operates on a fraction of that power, consuming very little electricity even when working at maximum capacity. This makes it not only an environmentally conscious choice but also a practical one for anyone working in a small office or home studio where heat and noise management are top priorities. Now, let us address the elephant in the room: pricing and value. Apple's pricing strategy for the Mac Mini has always been one of its strongest selling points, positioning it as the most accessible entry point into the macOS ecosystem. With the M5 generation, that value proposition remains exceptionally strong. When you compare the cost of a fully configured Mac Mini M5 against traditional desktop workstations or high-end custom PC builds with equivalent real-world performance, the Mac Mini often emerges as the smarter financial choice, especially when you factor in its longevity, resale value, and negligible power consumption. However, prospective buyers do need to make some careful decisions during the purchasing process. Because components like the unified memory and the internal SSD storage are soldered directly onto the logic board, you cannot upgrade them down the line. If you are planning to keep this machine for the next 5 to 7 years, which many Mac users do, it is wise to invest a bit more upfront in higher memory and storage tiers to future-proof your setup. Think carefully about your workflow requirements. If you deal with massive local file libraries, raw video caches, or extensive virtual instrument banks, opting for a larger internal storage drive will save you from constantly managing external dongles and drives. As we look at the broader landscape of personal computing, the Mac Mini M5 represents a clear milestone. It proves that raw power no longer requires massive physical bulk. It shows that thermal efficiency, silent operation, and uncompromising performance can peacefully coexist in a device that fits in the palm of your hand. For students, professionals, creatives, and everyday power users, it bridges the gap between portability and desktop might in a way that no other machine currently manages. If you are currently sitting on an older Intel-based Mac, or even an early-generation Apple Silicon machine, the jump in performance, energy efficiency, and modern connectivity features you will experience with the M5 is massive. It breathes new life into your daily routine, cutting down wait times, eliminating hardware frustration, and letting you focus entirely on what matters most: your work, your creativity, and your productivity. Before we wrap up this deep dive, let us summarize who this machine is truly built for. If you want a clean, minimalist desk setup without sacrificing professional-grade computing power, this is your answer. If you are tired of dealing with loud fans, hot chambers, and sluggish multitasking, the Mac Mini M5 solves those problems completely. It is reliable, it is fiercely fast, and it represents the absolute pinnacle of modern desktop engineering.